The decision to place a child up for adoption is one that shapes multiple figures, the birth mothers, the adoptive mothers, and the babies. But after a closed adoption, is it possible for their futures to merge and their lives to become intertwined? Well, our next guest has written a memoir about her personal experience called To Have and Not to Hold, and she joins us today. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I wish we could have the whole hour. We've been chatting and chatting away. So take us back. First, why did you want to put this on paper? Why was it important for you to kind of put your story, a very personal story, out to the world?
Well, I do feel like we've had an incredible happy ending, and it's just amazing how things have worked out to have a blended family. Mm-hmm. But the most important message is that my daughter Katie's adoptive mother mm-hmm. has done everything right in opening up her family to us mm-hmm. and just making us feel like we're not intruding, we're part of the family. And her motto was always, the more love, the better. Yeah. And it's hard for an adoptive mother to do something like that, but that's what made it work.
So take us back, this story kind of takes us back. You were working for Phil Donahue, correct?
Yes, I was.
In your early 20s?
Yep, associate producer. And that was pretty intimidating. Uh-huh. I was pretty excited about that. And then suddenly I'm unexpectedly pregnant. And I was not going to have an abortion. I was raised Catholic, and that wasn't an option. But I spent probably the whole 9 months trying to decide if I could actually keep this baby by myself, without my family, in a city, alone, with a job that was not 9 to 5. I was working nights and weekends. And so it was a tough, I just felt like the baby would have no life whatsoever. I wouldn't be there. And I finally, in the end, made the decision. It was very difficult, but I felt like she would have a better life.
So this story, of course, talks a little bit about that, and then kind of, carries through, obviously. What is it that, tell the rest of the story and when it was that you kind of made the reconnection and why that's important and kind of how it's changed over the years?
It has. It was a closed adoption, but I had thought in the beginning that we were going to be able to just send a letter every now and then through the agency, maybe get a picture or two. And I thought that was our agreement. And at 6 months in, I got a letter saying, and now the adoption is final and there'll be no more contact. And really, that's when it became the emotional impact. The door closed, so that was a terrible time. And I spent the next few years working with the agency and writing letters to their board and saying it can't be a blanket policy. It has to be an individual thing. And ultimately, the family came back for another child, so the records were open. And when that happened, I was able to get a letter to them, and that opened the door, and we were able then to continue communicating. Not all the time, but back and forth.
I love that this book opens the door. You're actually wanting to hear other women's stories. This is the first book of a series you're wanting to do, and we were talking too with the popularity of This Is Us, one of the most popular TV shows on right now, talking about adoption, these issues. This is a great time to put a story out.
Yes.
Of hope and encouragement.
Yeah, adoption is timeless. It goes on, but right now there seems to be a big focus. Academy Award nominated movie Lion. There's a lot of interest in adoption, and I just want to put in an inspirational voice out there that says this can work. You don't have to have an abortion. This is a painful thing to go through, but this can work, and it can be so rewarding, so satisfying.
Well, as we close, because again, you want to share, you want to hear other stories that may have similar, outcomes like you have. What would you have them do? What's your?
So we're going to have my website up there. Please just send me your story. You can be a birth parent, an adoptee, or an adoptive parent. This is going to be a collection of stories, how to try and get this right.
Yeah. Well, Lorri, thank you so much again. You're from California, so we're so happy to have you here in the Bay Area for just a little bit, so you could stop by the show. And thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. Well, before we